On the matter of... Sorry, I do apologise.
I move to suspend so much of standing orders that would preclude me moving the motion circulated in my name.
Question is that that motion be agreed to. Ms Lauder.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. What we've seen today from this government is part of an ongoing pattern. A pattern, I guess I would call it Oz, treating the opposition like mushrooms. And in case you're not aware, that involves keeping them in the dark and feeding them on manure. This is what we're seeing here. And we had the discussion earlier this week about the pesky number of questions that the opposition has the temerity to ask of the government. And of course that's because the government does treat us like mushrooms. They do try and keep as much information from us as possible. And the case in point today is about the report relating to the flammable cladding at the Centenary Hospital for Women and Children. The government doesn't want to have this discussion, and you have to ask why they don't want to have this discussion, Madam Speaker. According to what we've already heard in this assembly, Ms Fitzharris has told us that ACT Health has met with representatives of Commercial Services and Infrastructure and Chief Minister, Treasury and Economic Development Directorate, Justice and Community Safety Directorate, Fire and Rescue and Access Canberra, as well as internal clinical representatives to discuss the draft report findings, cross-agency implications and operational implications for ACT Health, yet are unwilling or unable to release that report to the opposition. And of course, they like to think of themselves as the...
please resume your seat.
Can we stop the clock,
stop
please,
the clock,
Madam
please? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My understanding of the standing orders is that debate needs to be relevant to the motion. The motion in this case is to suspend standing orders to allow what I see as a private member's motion to go forward. I haven't seen any debate relative to that part of the motion.
On the point of order?
Yes, on the point of order, Madam Speaker, Ms Lauder has said on numerous occasions why she thinks the government does not want to address this matter. That is at the core of what the suspension of standing orders is all about, and I think she's entirely in order.
I'm not going to rule a point of order, but I will ask Ms Lauder to be more succinct and direct in her comments in the time that she has left, as into the reason for the suspension.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To return to what I was saying, this government needs to be more open and accountable. We've talked about that, and the government themselves on many occasions have talked about open government, transparency, and yet they're stymieing every opportunity. The past few weeks, starting with my unanswered questions to my email from the 12th of July to Minister Gentleman, unanswered questions from the 12th of July, numerous questions in this place, the government continue to obfuscate and avoid the questions that we're asking. If we had access to this document, perhaps, who knows, I might think, oh, perhaps I don't need to keep asking these questions because I have the answers. This document might actually provide those answers. But until this government lives up to their lovely honeyed words of openness and transparency, we will not know. We've asked questions in this place, and then what do we see magically? An article in the paper yesterday from the task force talking about the cladding. Perfectly happy to give this information to the Canberra Times, but not to the opposition. Heaven forfend, heaven forbid that we give information to the opposition. Heaven forbid that we give leave to move a motion requiring them to table a report. No, what we want to do here, this government, this arrogant, out-of-touch government, is to continue to obfuscate and continue to withhold information that any opposition in any parliament in our Westminster system would have every right to seek. I do not understand why they're so unwilling when they've already discussed this report with so many other agencies and organisations, that they are so unwilling to provide it to the opposition, why they're so unwilling to answer questions, why they're so unwilling to live up to their own words of openness, transparency, accountability, a compact with the ACT people. No, instead it's actually about treating the opposition like mushrooms. And it makes me really, really angry, Madam Speaker.
Point of order.
The member has not once brought this back to the question of why standing orders should be suspended. So on a matter of relevance, I ask that you please rule.
Thank you. Ms Lauder, you have 48 seconds left. I'm sure you will conclude.
Thank you so much. I might just repeatedly call on the government to live up to their own rhetoric, which would be a nice change. Instead of talking the talk, I would actually like them to walk the talk this time, just this once, and provide that information to the opposition.
Question is that the motion be agreed to. Ms Fitzharris.